Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm very glad to have this opportunity to stand here and share some of my thoughts with you. Today, I'd glad to discuss with you the situation of the contemporary women's international political participation. As known to all, the, un- the unequal treatment received by women has been a topic widely concerned by the society. Unequal treatment of women in all walks of life is privacy. For a long time, international politics has been regarded as a male-dominant field. Due to the division of the male and female characteristic, women have been excluded from the theory and practice of international politics. Therefore, women are absent in the international politics. Not only that, but the contribution of the women in international politics has not been taken seriously by the international community. But with the great change in society and advance in thought, these things began to change with the end of the Second World War, especially after entering the 1990s. Women's participation in international politics has been expanding in breadth and deepening in degree. On the one hand, there has been a rapid increase in the number of women serving as heads of government departments and senior managers of international organizations. On the other hand, the outstanding performance of women in international politics has also attracted the attention of the international community. In high studies of politics such as military, politics and diplomacy, women as heads of staff or managers of government departments are outstanding in governing national and international exchange, while in law studies of politics such as human rights, society, and environment, many outstanding female politics and women's organizations have also made great contributions. Since the 1990s, the change of international politics situation and the wave of the economic globalization for the contemporary women's participation in international politics provide a good opportunity. Along with the further development of the international women's movement, as well as in governments and non-governmental organizations, including the United Nations, women rely on their own prominent political ability gradually play an increasingly important role in the international political area. The participation of women also brings positive change in international politics, which breaks the monopoly of men on international politics to a certain extent, and is conducive to the protection of women's rights and interests. The special contributions made by contemporary women in non-traditional secure fields such as peace and environmental protection have also been fully recognized by the international community. In fact, the patriarchal society has been trying to prevent women from gaining the power to change their observed status quo. This is especially true in politics. International politics is seen as male-dominant field, with male leaders and few women in political decision-making, diplomacy, and the military. International politics. This side, international politics is a man's world. It is a habitat of diplomats, soldiers, international efforts, service members, and most of them are men. But in fact, women has been involved in international politics since ancient times. History is full of examples of women leaders engaging in the challenging diplomacy, as well as their man counterparts. When Elizabeth I was Queen of England, she succeeded in maintaining the unity of England. After nearly half a century of rule, she made England one of the strongest and richest countries in Europe. During the Catherine II reign as Empress of Russia, she opened the Black Sea to the sea. She reign was handed in Russia's history. Gordon Meyer, Indira Gandhi, or Margaret Thackeray proved the political position of women, and someone was considered was the most influential cabinet members in USA. Diploma history in the Clinton administration on security issues, including section against military operation in the Balkans and northeastward expansion. We women have always been hidden behind international relations. Traditional international politics research and military diplomatic fields around the world are dominated by men. Therefore, describe and explain the way international politics are beset on man's worldview. On the basis of the broad sense of women have long been excluded in the field of international political military, diplomatic, and the country's decision making rarely have the chance to speak and play a role. Although some women enter the field of public policy, most of them are engaged in domestic efforts such as social welfare, domestic violence, population or marriage and childbirth. Few women can really participate in the formulation of the country's foreign policy. Actually, political participation is open. There is no gender. International politics is also so, and not say that only men can participate in the international politics history and reality of many active in the international and domestic political stage of outstanding representatives of women has eloquently proved that women can also be involved in the international politics and contributions their strengths in the international politics. Of course, there are still many limitations for contemporary women to participate in international politics. Women's positions are mostly concentrated in less powerful sectors. Women in different regions have different participation in international politics. Social cultural prejudice and women's roles conflicted. One thing we must clear about is that if women want to participate in international politics, they must participate in the management of nations, regional and international efforts by holding the power, which is the highest form of political participation and the main sign of women's advancement. In recent years, governments of all countries and relevant departments of United Nations have formulated laws and treaties to prevent women's political participation, creating necessary and conditions for women's international political participation. For example, the Nuremberg Declaration, adopted by the Third World Conference on Women in 1985, stated that more women should be appointed as diplomats. In 1995, the Fourth United Nations World Conference on Women consigns and adopted the Beijing Declaration and platform for action, which stated that women are empowered to participate fully in all spheres of social on an equal basis. In relation 55 to 180, adopted by the General Assembly in 2002, heads of departments and offices within the United States system encourages the selection of the female candidates when female candidates have the same or better qualification as male candidates, and effective monitor and evaluate the work of managers in department to improve the representation of women. International conventions, such as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Conventions on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women, and the Convention on the Political Rights of Women, have clearly set forth the needs for states to guarantee women the rights to equal political participation. It is encouraging to see that many countries have enacted laws to prevent women's political participation in order to ensure that women are represented in parliaments, local governments, and state institutions. In Germany, for example, the law of the advancement of women gave priority to women in areas where they were underrepresented. France affirmative actions law expects that half the candidates for city office must be women, and other countries' legislation requires a third of candidates to be women. Uganda, Italy, and other countries have also enacted relative laws to guarantee women's participation in politics. To ensure that laws and regulations promoting women's perception in politics are enforced, many countries also established a special superior body. When women's political participation is guaranteed by law, more women will be members of heads of government, heads of state, or heads of international organizations, so as to ensure women's full participation in international politics. While recognizing the significance and the limitations of women's participation in international politics, we can predict that with the deepening of the conception of gender equality in all fields, including international politics, more and more women will appear in international politics in the future, and the future world will be a world governed by both men and women. That's all. Thank you for your listening.